Hey, how you doing? We're going to go ahead and look at a few videos here. We're going to skip over the few that we already went over on the phone. Actually, the first thing I want to go over, and the one thing I want to spend the most amount of time on, is going to be the new training block. Now, I think the last training block went extremely well. We're not going to make too many changes. We're going to give your body a little bit more time to adapt to these variations by changing the rep scheme, lowering it to allow you to handle a little heavier weight. Hopefully create some more neurological adaptations where we get a lot stronger. But we did add a few things and change a few things. So first and foremost, you'll notice squat, not squat with safety squat bar. I know for the first few days here, you're only going to have a safety squat bar available to you. But after this week, I want this entire week, we're not going to, or this entire block, we're not going to touch a safety squat bar. I really want to get into barbell movement. So obviously, for Monday and Tuesday, it says squat and conventional deadlift. But for Monday and Tuesday only, you'll be squatting with a safety squat bar and deadlifting with a hex bar. And then on the 9th, you'll get your barbell. Then we can start bench pressing for real. We can start sumo deadlifting on Saturday. And then every single day moving forward, like Monday and Tuesday next week, you'll be doing squat with a barbell, conventional deadlift with a barbell, so on and so forth. All right, so we're not going to touch the safety squat bar. We're going to really put some focus into the traditional barbell back squat, the traditional conventional deadlift, the sumo deadlift. There's going to be a lot of new things for your body to adapt to in that facet. So even though the program doesn't look like it's changed a ton, it will provide a very new stimulus just because of all the new variations and new equipment we're going to be using. Now, as you can see here, not a ton of change on Monday, just added dips. Tuesday, not a ton of change, just added face pulls. If you see things highlighted in red, that means we're supersetting them. On Thursday, not a ton different. We changed to an incline close grip bench. That's going to be done with a barbell, 2-finger widths closer than a normal grip. There'll be a lot of good tricep development exercise. And then Saturday, we are doing sumo deadlift, followed up with snatch grip deadlift off blocks. If you don't have blocks, use plates, use mats. There's 1,000 things you can use. I don't care what your setup is, you can lift off blocks. I get people that write back to me all the time, like, I don't have blocks. Do you have plates? Then you can do it. Do you have, mats? You can do it. Do you have an old spare tire in your backyard? You can do it. There's a lot of ways to set that up. But then after that, not a whole lot different. Added some seated cable rows. This should be a nice variation or a nice block for you to adapt to. I'm really excited for you to start pushing load in this. One thing I do have to mention in terms of progression is you'll see that if we look at the last block here, we progress in load fairly well. Monday, 81. We had that problem in the beginning where we didn't really progress too well. And then we started progressing, 86, 116, 91, 116. That should have definitely been a bigger progression there. That back's loaded too. Then last Monday, 102, 112. Don't know what prompted that. But we have to make sure. So the way it should look, the way it needs to look, we have to be going up in load every single week. All right, that's really important. There's no reason you should not be able to. Absolutely no reason. There's going to be, like I mentioned on the phone, there's likely going to be 1 week out of the 5 weeks or one training day out of the 5 weeks where you may not be able to go up optimally because of some outside lifestyle factors. But in general, it should be a linear trend, both in load and in intensity. So the biggest mistake we made in the first training block that really did not allow it to be as effective as it could have been is on this last week here, we were using moderate intensity. We got into some challengings, but across the board, it's mostly moderate. We shouldn't see any moderate difficulty ratings on that last week. All right, moderate difficulty ratings are for the first and second week. All right, so the general rule of thumb, the way it should look is, let's say for the first day, the Monday of training, 3 sets of 5 squat. I used 100 pounds on Monday, and it was easy difficulty rating. Or the first week, for the first week, first day of the week, Monday, I used 100 pounds, and it was an easy difficulty rating. Next week, it should be a moderate difficulty rating with 110 pounds. Next week, on the third week of the training block, it should be 120 pounds with a challenging difficulty rating. On the fourth week, it should be probably 135 pounds with a hard difficulty rating. And on the fifth and final week, you should be pushing limit the fifth difficulty rating as hard as you can physically go, doing whatever the reps are. So, for example, squat with safety squat bar, the 1 set of 2, for example, that should have been pushing limit, and it should have been a 2-rep max. Obviously, moderate challenging rate with 122, that wasn't a 2-rep max for you. So that's the general way we should progress. We start light with difficulty rating and load fairly light, and then we progress each and every week as your body gets better adapted to handling these variations, handling these rep schemes, and handling this load. It gets more efficient at using it, you get stronger, but If we end up not progressing optimally, if we end up just not going up in difficulty rating, we won't get nearly as much out of it. So we really, really have to focus on that in this next block, and that's the biggest change I want to see. First week, moderate to easy challenging ratings. Second week, challenging to hard. Third week, hard. For the challenging hard. It's going up like I described, and difficulty rating and low. That's the biggest thing I want to accomplish in this next training block. So this isn't quite what I mean by chest supported row. I mean something a little bit differently. So as you can see here, you're laying on it and then doing rows from there. We actually want to change that up. So I don't like that variation very much. It puts a lot of pressure on your sternum, your chest. You don't do very much load. I like to go on the other side of the bench. So look, incline's here, and you're laying on it like this, right? I want to walk around the bench, face the opposite side direction of the bench, stand in front of it where the incline ends, lean on it, and do a row from there. You want your sternum to be touching the bench and absolutely nothing else. You want to be hinged over about a 45-degree angle, so you have to adjust the incline of the bench to get to that 45-degree angle, and then row from there. I don't like laying on it like you're doing here. I don't think it says quality of contraction. I would rather your sternum, I'd rather be facing the exact opposite direction with your sternum right on this pad on the bench press, adjusting the incline if needed to make sure you're perfectly hinged, and then rowing from there so you're still standing on your 2 feet. If you need any further explanation of that, please let me know. But that's what I mean by chest supported row. Lastly, with the chainsaw, we need to be a lot more hinged over. Right here, we're in a stagger stance, but we're standing almost perfectly upright. I need your shoulder to go from here to way the hell down here. We have to hinge over more. Right now, here's perfectly upright. Here's where you are. You need to be way the hell down here, 45-degree angle. Just a lot more hinged over rather than being straight upright. That'll allow a much better contraction. But that's about it for this week. All of these squat notes I already made on the phone. The hex bar deadlift, not a whole lot of nuance to that exercise in general. As long as you're just using basic principles of movement, you'll do pretty well with it. But I'm really excited to see how your sumo and conventional deadlift looks in the weeks to follow. Be sure to send me plenty of videos of those. Let me know if you have any questions in the meantime, and stay safe out there.